It's time to saber up and get your Star Wars 101 fix. Today's episode is all about the Force. Star Wars is the Force. The Force is Star Wars. May the Force be with you is one of the most iconic lines in any movie ever.
May the Force be with you.
So what is the Force? Well, if you're Obi-Wan Kenobi in the first Star Wars movie and New Hope, you'd say, well, the Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. And for the most part, that stayed true.
Midichlorians are...
Oi! We'll get to you. Now that we know that the Force is a metaphysical, spiritual, binding, and ubiquitous power, thank you for that one, Wikipedia, I want to tell you all about the factions of the Force and what they mean. From what we know in the movies and canon, there is the light side and the dark side of the Force. This is essentially a moral compass on how you use the Force. Your emotions and how you interact with other living beings will sway whether it's the light side or the dark side. Using emotions like compassion, selflessness, mercy, and benevolence when encompassing the Force will keep you on the light side, and you'll be a Jedi. Yoda claimed that a Jedi only uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never attack. Those that followed the light side were dedicated to live in harmony with the world around them. And since the Jedi were enlisted to keep peace within the galaxy, it was important for them to act out of wisdom and logic rather than anger and hasty judgment. Jedi would often meditate to cleanse their minds from those sort of emotions like resentment, anger, and fear, because those emotions, alongside hatred, passion, suffering, and malice for all living things, would sway you to the dark side. And once given in, you'd be a Sith. Many Sith believed that by tapping into these extreme emotions would actually increase the strength of the Force, and the power that you could obtain was much greater than that of the light side, thus being able to take down your opponents and use it offensively and to attack. The power of the dark side was known to be extremely addictive.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Sure, it's not just the light and dark. There is a grey area too, pun intended, but also it's the truth. Those that would walk the line of the light and dark but never fully surrendered to the dark side were considered grey Jedi. Or those Jedi that no longer aligned themselves with the Jedi High Council, therefore not answering to the order, were also grey. Sign me up. That's where it's at. It's not 100% canon, however, and if you want to know what canon is, check out my last Star Wars 101 video. Although some considered Qui-Gon Jinn a grey Jedi for undermining the Council with his gut instinct and fought for what he believed against better judgment. But there is more to the Force than light and dark. Get this, there's the living Force, unifying Force, cosmic Force, and physical Force. I know, it sounds like a lot, and you know what? You're not wrong. Usually those who studied to become a Jedi would focus on a portion of the Force since there was so much to comprehend. It's kind of like going to uni or college and selecting your courses. You don't study everything, just what you want to know. Let's start by explaining the living Force. Now, the Force is in all living things, be it plant, animal, or being. Therefore, a Force wielder would have a connection with it. We saw in Star Wars Rebels, Kanan teach Ezra how to find allies in creatures. Now, the living Force was tangible. It was in the here and the now. It would help you sense life and death. Those that studied the way of the living Force, like Qui-Gon Jinn, would live in the moment and focus on the now instead of what lay ahead in the future or trying to fulfill a destiny, which always held uncertainty. Because the Force is in all living things, when a mass of people die, Force users feel the disturbance in the Force.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
Jedi also use the living Force to maintain a part of themselves after death, manifesting themselves as a Force ghost with the aid of the next Force, Cosmic. This is the reason why midichlorians exist. Think of Cosmic Force as all the Force that is living or had lived. The Force never dies, it recycles back into the cosmic. It's the midichlorians, the microscopic life forms that symbiotically lived in all cells that had a persuasive energy field that would act as a conduit to communicate the will of the Force, that helped bring the two together. Yeah, that's why many people dislike the fact that the Force needed science behind it. Sure, it made sense. It's space science. And with midichlorians, you could sample one's blood to test the level of them. And the higher the count, the stronger the Force user would be. But to some, just being Force sensitive without the need of a living organism was enough. No further explanation needed. But where do you sit with that? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment. Next was the practice of the unifying Force, which was more uncommon than living Force, requiring further studies to understand it deeper. To get this, the user sees that there's no light or dark side. It's just the Force as a single entity. And the purpose of unifying Force was to see visions of the future. Now, without choosing a side, everything was treated completely equally, and you came at it level-headedly, which inevitably led to the Force wielder seeing or fulfilling a destiny. If the living Force focused on the present and the now, the unifying would focus on the future. We saw the Emperor Palpatine and Yoda both have visions, which led to Luke having visions, which led to the destruction of the Emperor That's another video. Lastly, there's the physical force, the ability to let you manipulate objects in one's area, like this and like this. So that's it, the 4 facets of the force. Out of all the force powers there are in existence, in one way or another, they're connected to one of these 4 facets of the force. Say that 4 times fast. There are so many force powers that the light side and the dark side encompass, but to delve into that one is a very slippery slope and probably needs another video. So that's it for what the force is. What would you like to study? Are you on the light side or the dark side? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget you can comment or tweet me your idea for the next topic for Star Wars 101. I'm Maude Garrett, may the Source be with you.
Today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to prepare yourself for the Season 2 premiere of The Flash.
Hey guys, Darth Maude here today to chat all things canon. No, you don't need to be fluent in over 6 million languages. I'm just going to fill you in as simply as possible.